Hey everybody, welcome back to Myammee TV. Today you guys, I'm doing my third book review, okay, with many more on the way. However, today I'm doing it on Devon Franklin's new book, The Hollywood Commandments, A Spiritual Guide to Secular Success. I know you guys was like, secular success, what? I'll get into that soon. However, let's talk about this yellow sticker right here first. Now the book comes out September 26th, right? And we got a chance to, people that follow him and keep up with him, you got a chance to actually apply to be able to get this book early. And guess what? I got the book early. Yes. Now, before I get into this review, he has two other books, right? And one of them, of course, is The Wait with his wife, Megan Good. I know you guys know Megan Good, the beautiful Megan Good. So that book I'm going to reread because I actually read that last year. So I'm going to reread that and do a review on that soon. And also he has another book called Produced by Faith. That was his first book. And I actually just got that book from Amazon from this library. I'm going to do a review on that, and that's going to be coming soon as well. So lay around for those books from him. But today I'm going to discuss the Hollywood Commandments. Now first, I normally talk about how many days it takes for me to read a book in my other reviews, if you probably already watched, and I will continue to do that moving on. But in this case, I couldn't read it like this, like I wanted to, because we had Hurricane Irma. And I got the book right before we did Hurricane Irma and before the long lines of shopping and getting water and long lines of gas. Like, it kind of delayed me a bit. And I was kind of upset about that because it was like, who gives away books early before the release, you know? And I was just so happy to be a part of the crew to be able to do our reviews, but then I got like sidetracked with Irma. But anyway, moving forward, having my lights and being able to recharge my battery to do this video, I'm super blessed about that. So off the top, right, before I get into details, before I get into all of the good stuff, I just want to say this book was a thought-provoking book. Like, if you're not ready to be challenged with your thoughts, and if you're not ready to feel like you're not perfect and you think you're always right and what you're doing is just perfect and you're not going to change anything about what you're doing, you don't want to read this book, because this book makes you hit reality. It's like, wow, like boom, you know, for me it was a boom type of reaction. And you need that sometimes when you're reading books, because if you're not challenged with your thoughts, like, what's the point of reading it? It's basically like you're reading a story then, and I'm not trying to read a story. Like, I'm really trying to get my life right. Okay, I think a whole bunch of us want to get our life right. The name of the book, I think, The Hollywood Commandments, A Spiritual Guide to Secular Success. I really feel like this is definitely a guide. It's definitely a guide, because when you're trying to get to your purpose in life and you're trying to discover what you were created to do and why you were created, and now you're ready to put all of those gifts and all of those talents together to be able to give back not only to the world, but to show God that these are the talents that you gift me with. I'm ready to display them. You know, line me up, get my opportunities together, get my divine connections right, and I'm ready to take off. You know, so this book actually lives up to what it says, the Hollywood Commandments. Now, commandments, normally we know, thou shalt not, you know. But for me, even though he explains what not to do in the book, he definitely, to me, I took more of what to do. All right, some of, like, an example of steps that he gives in his book is something like this. He says, how do you gain confidence to do something you've never done? Follow these steps that I recommend to you. He gives you the steps. Like, this is throughout the whole entire book. It's little things like that that maybe you didn't think to do, or maybe you thought one of those steps. You never even considered the other steps. So this book has so many tidbits, you guys. Like, that's why I said I have to read it again. The book just starts off with something like real powerful and real, how do you say, my pastor always say, radical, right? The beginning of the book was so radical. It was, the introduction says, what the church doesn't teach you about success. Like, literally, that's page 1. What the church does not teach you about success. And you read that and it's like, okay, let me prepare myself, because I know he's a minister, so let me see what he's talking about, and see his perspectives on what he feel what the church is not teaching us about success. So right there, after I read the introduction of the book, it made me realize, okay, well, church is for me to go to grow myself spiritually. Church is for me to go to and get the guide on how to be a better person when it comes to my integrity, and when it comes to the things I believe in, and when it comes to who Angela is without all the titles, and without the work, and without the money, and if I was to live in a forest tomorrow with nothing, like no lights, literally how we was last week with no lights. Anyway, how would I be? Like, how I would love, and how I treat people, and how do I treat myself, and how to forgive. Like, that's the type of stuff that church teaches you. But this book gives us some tips, and it gives us some guide. Then the book starts with the chapter, right? After the introduction, here's the chapter. The chapter says, your prayers alone are enough. And as as a Christian, as a believer, it's like, my prayers alone ain't enough. What you mean? My prayers alone ain't enough. It is enough, Devon, But as you read, you get to know that you got to do some work. So you can't just sit home. For example, if somebody is trying to get a job, any job, they can't just sit at home and say, you know what, God, I want a job. And you're not putting in no resumes. You're not going on no interviews. You're not applying to any positions. You can't just wait for the door to knock. And you can't just wait for your phone to ring if you haven't done your part at least. My God is a magnificent God. Don't get me wrong. But we have to put in the work. He didn't create us just to be a slug. We got legs, feet, arms, mouths, to get things done. So I like that about chapter 1, that prayer alone isn't enough. And the example that he used with Megan Good was just a perfect thing, because we could sit here and want all day, but we have to prepare ourselves. Devon has so many great prayers in his book. And when I say prayers, I mean, like, every few chapters he gives, every chapter he gives us prayers that he prayed over what's to come in his life, on what's next, and what's next in his world. And I like the prayers in the book because it helped. I know it helped me, and I know it could possibly help you as well, to maybe detail your prayers a little bit. And you don't want to be so detailed that you're being like school structure, like I'm reading a book to God, like I'm reading this book, prayer to God. No, but I truly believe in the things that we say are so powerful, and to see how he structured his prayers is good for me to see that, especially prayers about going to the next chapters in life. My true belief is that what I ask him, he will deliver. So if I have to pull from these prayers, and not do them verbatim, but it gives me a little bit of guidance on how I can structure my prayers when it comes to my success, when it comes to work, putting my work in, using my talent, and using my gifts that I was birthed with. Like, that's major to me. Like, I want to make sure my prayers are not just good just so I can hear myself. No, I want them structured, because as you know, we all know, what we say and what we ask for, we will receive. So I want to make sure that I'm preparing my prayers right. And maybe they may be a little bit too bland, and that's fine. But if now from this book, there's so many prayer guides or blueprints that I can actually use to adjust my prayer life and get my prayer life even better than what it is. Here's one of the prayers, right? Lord, I know you didn't bring me this far to leave me. I trust that if I follow what I believe you are saying in my gut, then I will make the right decision. I'm looking for you to give me confirmation once I do. Like, that is such a good prayer right there. I'm going to start with my favorite chapter and it's so hard to even choose a favorite chapter, I'm telling you. But I'm going to start with my favorite chapter of the entire book, and that is chapter 8. Your differences is your destiny, right? So one of the reasons why I love this chapter of your difference is your destiny is because one of my favorite quotes is, who I'm not makes me exactly who I am. And I live by that, you guys, because being different and knowing you're different is lonely. And in the chapter, it actually explained that, and I took seat with that it could be lonely. But even in your loneliness, this is page 174, even in your loneliness, you have to trust God and let your distinctiveness stand out. The moment you begin to exchange what makes you different for what makes you ordinary, because you want to fit in, you give away that which God wants to use you to elevate you and take you somewhere extraordinary. Your distinction is who you are. It's the flavor God added to you that makes you like no one else. And and again, like I said, this book made me think, because I literally wanted to key in on what makes me different. Like, I'm still trying to write down my notes on what makes me different, and the ahas that I got on what makes me different. These are the 5 questions that he put in this chapter. What makes me different? What makes me unique? What gives me a different worldview? Why do I think differently? And how do I begin to embrace what makes me different? Like, if that's not thought-provoking for you, I don't know what else is. Like, and I am literally still trying to write that out on my whiteboard in my bedroom. Like, what makes me so distinctive? Especially about to move on to my next career choice, which I really don't know which way it's going to swing. I know it has to do something with media and doing stuff like this and doing my interviews, if you see on Myammee TV and stuff like that. But I want to key in on what makes me different. So far, I've got to, it's something about wanting people to trust me, because it's hard to trust people out here. And if I can be that type of person that can display job well done, I really want to be one of those people who are hard to find. But I'm going to keep doing my jot downs and trying to figure out everything in detail. Like, this thing is not about me. This is about the book. This is about the book. He said, discovering yourself. You cannot be afraid of the process of discovering yourself. Seeing what you're good at, trying a few things out, and not being afraid to fail. That's why it's important to avoid conventional wisdom and not listen to everyone's counsel, because you may need to try different jobs or skills that may seem ill-fitted on the surface. Let me tell you guys, that's page 180, okay? And it goes on until 181. And another part I like is part of the discovery. This is page 181. Part of the discovery is putting yourself in an environment that's scary, but that moves you one step far along to where you're supposed to be. Let me tell you guys something. That right there is one of the reasons why I like this book, because it resonates with me. And I don't know if it may resonate with you, but it seems as if every 4 to 5 years I'm getting into something else, right? But then you look around in your circle, everybody is like keyed in, they're focused on that one thing. I sell my salon, I get into real estate, and I've been in real estate now for going on 5 years. And guess where I'm at? I'm back at the same spot. What's next? So, not fearing my discovery, it looks crazy to people outside, because it's like, Angela, can you please focus on one thing? And it's like, I can't. And I'm starting to have more peace with that, because at one point I'm like, no, I'm going to settle in this. Real estate, this is going to be it for me. And it's not. I'm getting caught in a different direction, doing this YouTube and doing book reviews and interviewing people with their amazing stories, and interviewing people about God and their faith. And how did I get here? Listening to myself, that's another chapter about listening to yourself and your gut feeling and stuff like that. But I feel like how they said, you have to discover yourself. because it's going to get you there. It really is going to get you there. And I read in the book, Steve Harvey Jump, and he says in the book that we have different vehicles, that different job description and different careers take you to one stop, and you have to get off that train, walk, and get on a different train to take you to that next stop. So I really feel, I have been struggling with that. It's like, what's wrong with me? Like, why is it that I cannot stay in one thing, in one place, and just sit there, be happy about it, retire, and be good with that? I can't. And I'm okay with knowing that right now, And the good thing too about this book, that Devon, he talks about his personal life and the struggles that he faced. And man, as an entrepreneur, I've been an entrepreneur going on 10 years now. It is hard. These days I cry. It's like, God, I want to quit. And to know that I'm not alone, to know that somebody like him is also going through. And you would think Devon Franklin has made it, but he still has things that he want to do. Who knew? But it makes you feel that you're not alone in this walk of secular success as a Christian, as a believer, and the things that we have to do and work our butts off to get. So that was a great thing that I loved about the book, because I don't feel alone. Like, I feel like he opened up his story so much. He didn't have to tell us all his business. Like, he told us a lot of stuff, you guys. You have to read the book to know what everything he told us, but it's good to read it. Not to be birds of a feather flock together, but to know that there's light at the end of what I'm thinking that's dark. Like, I'm happy I don't feel like, am I the only one sometimes that wake up and say, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, or I get stuck in the rut. And for those who are seeking purpose, and you're looking like, I know I was created to do more, because I'm at a season in my life where I know I'm created to do more, especially after reading this book, right? I know for certain that I'm not going to be a real estate agent forever. The search of your purpose is so important. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so strong about going after my purpose. And I'm so strong about listening to myself to be able to go from this career to that career, because I don't want to waste any more time of not being in my purpose. And here's why. This is what I found in a book that was my confirmation. Let me find it for you. So here's why this book is like everything, right? Because it says this: your talent is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift back to God. Listen, if that does not speak to you, I don't know what needs to speak to you. Don't have me speak to you in a way that you actually get it, okay? But this is chapter 2, and this is literally chapter 2. This is like, you're not even here yet. Look at all of this you have to read, and you get here and you hear that. This is a part that I actually just loved. God gives us each with unique talents and calls us to use them to fulfill some part of his purpose. Like, how amazing do you feel? Like, I felt amazing reading that. And then that actually summed up another part in the back of the book. Where is it? The bonus chapter in the back of the book, which is in the peace section, it says, we were created because God wants us to serve a designated role in the world. That's a thrilling idea, that you and I have been asked to play a role in the work of the Creator. But in order to fulfill that role, we must fight to remain the person God created us to be. Like, that's the type of stuff that's in this book. Okay? Like, it's beyond enlightening. It's beyond motivating. It's beyond that. Like, it makes you remember. And as I said in the beginning of this video, this book is a thought-provoking book. Like, it makes you remind yourself of whose you are. And it keeps you reminded that you were created to be here on purpose, for purpose, to help God with his plan, to help God with his creation. Like, and it's like, it gets to the point where it's like, God, like, now I'm like, I've done everything that I wanted to do in life. You know, I did all the things in high school. I did everything I wanted to do in college. I graduated college. I went off and did, all of these things. Did reality TV and get out of the reality TV. Then I did a salon that I wanted to do. And, I get into real estate, which that was my thing to do. As I said, I was going to become when I was in high school, when I was 16, And here I am years later in the thing that I said I wanted to do. And I've done all of this stuff. I'm here for a purpose. I need to find it. I need to work my butt in it and towards it. And just take every step as they come, and every step that I'm in, do it at my best, and doing it to God and giving my all to Him through what I'm doing, right? Making it seem like He's the boss, even though I'm an entrepreneur for almost 10 years now. Doing it unto Him. I'm grateful from where I came from. Like, this book made me just remind myself, like, it was just I know I'm not supposed to only just be doing things just for the church, within the church walls. I know I have a greater calling to be able to attach to the people outside of church. Like, one of my interviews on here, I interviewed these young pastors of my Pastor Creflo Dollar Church, World Changers, and they said they're transitioning to do new things for the unchurched. And I know that's part of my calling, even outside of the church. Just to get people involved in talking about God, and talking about spirituality, and talking about faith. That's who I am, and that's it. I can't run away from it. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to be ashamed of it anymore. This is who I am, and that's it. And unapologetic of it, because that's what it says in the book too, which I feel good. Like, I know I wasn't crazy to think like that and be sassy with it. It's okay, because that's who I am. And just embracing who God created me to be, Back to the guide of this book, like, here's a good one. Has your hunger for success turned into desperation? That is a good question, because for me it's two-sided, right? I'm not so desperate that I'm making my future and my purpose my God. But I am going to be determined and have a little sense of desperation to make sure I get to my purpose, though. I'm not going to do whatever it takes to get there. And I mean, like, in a negative way, like whatever it takes. I'm not doing whatever it takes. I'm going to do all I need to do to get there. But you have to have some piece of desperation, not a lot, because it's not about that end result. That's one thing I loved about this book. It's not just so churchy, and it's not just so religious. This book can be for anybody looking to have a guide on how to go about success in a way that is, let's see, this is good. In a way that is morally respectful to your being, to yourself, to your future, to your purpose, to your God, and doing it in a way that you're not dimming your light, but doing it in a way that's smart, intelligent, and just what's the word? Respectful to yourself and your worth and the love that God has for you so much that you just want to get there. Not only a well-rounded book, like, it makes you get to work on your path. It makes you wake up and realize that you're not alone how you feel right now at your career. You're not alone to think that some days you want to quit. You're not alone to feel like you want more out of life. You're not alone knowing that God loves you so much that he has more for you to do. You're not alone to know that the gifts that's inside of you that you was born with to do is ready to be used soon as the opportunity comes knocking at the door. You're not alone to feel like you're ready to go and relocate. Okay, I know I'm ready to relocate if I have to, for that opportunity to get me to the next and to the next until I get into what I'm supposed to be doing, like for real doing, you know. You're just not alone, like, you know, because this book is such a I said on Twitter, this book is like a life class, and get a little bit of peace knowing that, one, don't be afraid to leap and have faith and just go forward. Two, to not get rid of your morals and the things that you believe just for a stupid opportunity, you know, like be of yourself, and don't be afraid to show who you are and express verbally who you are, and not be afraid of what the other person on the other side is going to say to you. You know, love yourself that much, know your worth that much, and not compromise. And then 3, be patient in the process. And while you're being patient, work your butt off to, when it's time to get there, you're ready. Completely 100% ready to get there. And another good thing for all of my fellow people who are looking for those divine connections and you're waiting for that door to open, and you're trying to reach out to all the contacts that you know personally, that you've been in business with, and people that you came across. This is some advice that he said in a book that he actually got from Quincy Jones, right? And Quincy Jones basically told him, you know, you do the thing out of your thing, and they will come to you. Meaning, if you focus on your passion and become great at it, your work would be so compelling that people will have no choice but to seek you out. That just spoke so loudly to me, is that if you just do your work well, and when you get one opportunity, you do that well, you get the next opportunity, you do that amazing. Like, it's going to keep going, so you have to just keep going. You have to keep pushing. You have to definitely not get stuck and settled. Another thing that I learned is listening to yourself. God is speaking to you in your gut, or the thing that says, you know, that thing told me to do this. You know, that's basically the Spirit speaking to you. And sometimes those prayers get answered in those type of feelings, and sometimes we disregard those things. But no, those are the answers. You heard them, but are you scared to do them? You know, don't be afraid to do those things, because those things can be the key to unlock you to go to your next, which could be you absolutely being inside of your purpose for your life, you know, and just not being afraid of the unfamiliar, and a lot of trying and a lot of trial and error. Like, you don't know until you do a lot of trial and error. Like, I'm Mrs. Trial and Error. Like, I would try some things just because I want to make sure that the thing that I was told to do, that I do it, and I don't have any fear to go after it. Like, I don't want to fear any type of change. I don't want to feel like, oh, I shouldn't do that because, you know, I don't know, whatever the fear is. So this part is page 63, right? And real success takes guts, courage, and conviction. Even when it's painful, you have to keep pushing because you know where you're going, and you've made up in your mind that no force can match your determination. And one of the greatest things that I read in the beginning, before the chapter even started, before all the chapters started, was the introduction. At the end, he said, faith with works is life. Like, that's life. Like, that's goals, you know. Faith with works is life. And that kind of spoke to me so big, because you have to put in the work. You can't just have faith, and you can't just have prayer alone. You have to do the work. And the work is a whole bunch of things that all the other chapters give you, that you could combine everything together with faith, plus all the works that he suggests for you to consider and do and probably implement. It's a great thing. Book club. This is a book club book. This is a gifting book. This is knowing you know somebody out there that may be stuck. You know somebody that may just need this book. Just a great book overall, not just for entrepreneurs, but for people looking to get more and they feel that they want more of life and in life. So you guys, see you guys next book review. Thank you for tuning in. There's some links below where you can find the book at, pre-order it or order it, where you're at, and find his pages. If you're not following him, you may want to follow him as well. It's so encouraging and inspiring and uplifting. And of course, find me everywhere on social media and some of my opinionated things. And yeah, welcome to Myammee TV. Make sure you subscribe. And commandment, thou shalt go buy this book right now.